Hey, my name is Matt, and welcome to the first official video on my channel. I am incredibly excited to start this journey with you all, and I really hope that you like what I'll be uploading over the next few months, and who knows, maybe this goes even further than that. But either way, thank you so much for being here and for watching and taking this time out of your day. I genuinely really appreciate it. But before I get into anything, let me introduce myself. Again, my name is Matt. I'm your coach of the New England Rock and Rolla. I have been wanting to create content for years now, and in the busiest semester of college so far, I decided this is the best time to start recording and uploading. I'm really not sure what I'm going to upload yet. I'm kind of going to play it by ear, and whatever is interesting me, that's what I'm going to go for. But I'm not going to waste any more time. Today specifically, I would like to introduce my first ever upload of a Pokemon Draft League. I am incredibly excited and incredibly honored to have been invited into the Vortex Draft League for their third season, which is such an incredible achievement to Vortex and the whole crew and the mods and the Discord server. Just so much congratulations on getting this far. It's so well put together. And of course, I will leave links to Vortex and anything else in the description of this video, plus descriptions to any of my opponents in this Draft League series and content in the description as well. Please make sure when you get a chance, and just later on after this video, you check out anything that I put down there. But if you don't know what a Draft League is a Pokemon battling tournament. There's this one's being played on Pokemon Showdown, where there's a set amount of people in this league, 12, and they're called coaches. Each coach drafts 10 to 12 Pokemon that are exclusive to themselves. And each week, one coach battles one other coach in hopes of making it to playoffs. I believe this is an 8-week season in the Vortex Draft League. So I will be playing 8 games, and if I make it and call it the top 4, I get to move on to playoffs to eventually be the champion. What I'm going to do is each week I will get to select 6 out of my 11 Pokemon to battle 6 out of their 11 Pokemon. And that means I'm not going to know what my opponent is going to bring each week. I think it's such a cool concept for Pokemon battling. This allows for super creative team building. So you get to see a bunch of Pokemon that wouldn't typically be strong do very well with unique sets and bring differing Pokemon each week. It's such a cool concept and experience that I cannot wait to join. I have watched draft leagues forever, since I can remember, but I've never been able to participate. So I'm actually in 3 draft leagues right now. I am in the Vortex Draft League. I'm in another one where I will not be uploading, and then I am in a league called the Hidden Power League, which I will be hopefully uploading in the future. Haven't done any content for that yet. This league, I'm hoping to do live commentary for my battles, which I tried to do week 1 of the Hidden Power League. It did not go well. I lost pretty badly, and I think it was because of that, but I really want to try this here because this is so much more fun for me. Excuse me, when I'm able to share my experiences with all of you. Just know, I just got home, so I'm doing the best I can, but I just came home to a dead fish. So this goes out to UCC. Fly high, brother. So before we get into my draft, I will note that hopefully my battles will be uploaded on weekends. My schedule is always going to depend. 1, it's going to depend on when I battle. 2, it's going to depend on how busy I am. 3, I'm an RA in college, so it's going to depend on when I have duty days. Just bear with me. I'm going to be as consistent as possible, but of course that is not always possible. But I think this is going to be a ton of fun, and I'm going to stop blabbling and jibber-jabbering, and we're going to get into my draft. With that being said, let me introduce the Vortex Draft League. The VDL is a lower tier Terra Paldea Dex draft that consists of 3 divisions. The Shaman division, which is for beginners, the Victini division, which is for intermediate players, and the Mew division, which is for advanced players. I am playing in the Victini division this season. I would probably be in the Shaman division, except I was replacing a coach that dropped. In each division, meaning in Victini division, there are 12 coaches, each with 110 points, to draft a total of 11 Pokemon. No more, no less. On top of that, you get 2 Terra Captains, whose points have to total to 15 or less, and of course there are specific expectations to what can and cannot tear out within those guidelines. I don't remember the points that you had to be under to tear. You could not tear a 15-point Mon, for example, because you had to have exactly 2. I believe it's 9 points and under. It might be 8 points and under. You'll notice it doesn't actually matter for the Mons I picked. And honestly, with that being said, let's get into my picks. So I had picked 4, which out of 12 people is really good, but it also left me with what I consider to be too many options. Also, if you see me looking down a lot, I have notes that I'm speaking off of. I was looking at the board when it came to my pick, and there were 5 Mons available in the 19 points, which is the highest you could be, which means I would get at least one of them. But honestly, none of them I felt super comfortable using. There was Iron Bundle available when it got to me, but I am already using that in a different draft league, so I didn't want to pick it again. Qianpao was taken first. Makes sense in my head. Qianpao was going to be my pick. Dragapult second. It's always going to go first and second. And then honestly, Spectrier was grabbed third, which feels weird to say, but that felt like a snipe because that was going to be my pick. So I was left with a ton of good stuff. I was left with Iron Valiant. I was left with Bundle, as I said. Chiyu was there. Latios was there. Zamazenta was there. I hate using Zamazenta, but it's a good Mon. But I saw something sitting there at 16 points that I thought was valued so low, I just could not pass on it. And with the first pick of the New England Roggenrola history, Ogerpon Hearthflame joins the team. 16 points to me is just crazy, seeing what this Mon can do. Ogerpon outright is a super reliable physical attacker with 120 base attack and 110 base speed. On top of that, it is the Fire and Grass typing, which is new to Generation 9. Only Ogerpon, Hearthflame, and Scovillain, I think that's how you say it, get that typing. This Mon hits like a truck with moves like Power Whip and Play Rough and Brick Break to break screens, Lash Out to counter Intimidate and Defog Mons, U-Turn for momentum. I'm not done. Knock Off to be generally annoying, and there's so little that feels comfortable switching in. But of course its biggest move is a move called Ivy Cudgel, which for Ogerpon Hearthflame is a 100 base power fire type move that is 100% accurate and is high critical chance. Like, that's legitimately absurd. And it has all of that with like very decent bulk. It has 80 HP, 84 defense, and 96 special defense, which obviously that's not a world beater, but that is like a very solid defensive Mon if I need it to be. Excuse me, I think it's going to be able to destroy Mons of all types, live hits, and just be something that no one wants to prep for. It also has a lot of really solid utility in Spikes and Taunt and Synthesis, and Spiky Shield has some setup potential with Trailblaze and Sword Change, which I'm really excited to try out. And sometimes it's gonna find ways to sweep teams really easily. But of course its typing is also incredible. Grass Stab, scaring out the water types that can take Ivy Cudgel, rock types having a really difficult time setting up and switching in. And there's really only one offensive threat that's gonna be like dangerous, like super dangerous to Ogerpon, which would be a fast flying type, which later on you'll see I think I have plenty of Mons to deal with. It also has the Mold Breaker ability. I feel like there's so many things I have to keep remembering about this Mon. Mold Breaker is an ability that ignores opponent's abilities. So Mons like Sap Sipper, Gudra, and Flashfire Heatran. Now I really hate switching into this Mon. I'm just so excited to use this. I think it was so undervalued, and I think it's going to be one of the best Mons in the entire league. So, looking at pick 2, I really didn't want to tie myself down to anything specifically in this draft. I really wanted to read the board, and it came back to me 17 picks later. And again, sitting at 16 points, another Mon that I thought was going to be really valuable was sitting there in Clefable. Clef does so much for this team. It's just one of the best utility Mons out there. Its stats don't seem incredible. I mean, 95 HP is solid, 95 special attack is solid. But its best utility is its ability in its move pool. Clefable has three usable abilities. Q-Charm, which is the least usable, but then it has Magic Guard and Unaware. Magic Guard lets Clefable only be damaged by direct attacks, which means Toxic and Willow, all forms of Hazard, Weather, Rocky Helmet, Life Orb, Leech Seed, Nausea, Indigestion, etc. They don't affect Clefable. Nothing affects Clefable. And its second ability, which is almost just as good, if not better, is Unaware. Unaware helps Clef ignore other Pokemon stat changes when doing or taking damage, and which means setup mons are immediately countered, and anything that's boosting its defense or special defense lose any momentum gained when Clefable is in. Both of these abilities really help Ogerpon 2 a ton. Plus, it's a pure fairy type, allowing it to deal with dragon types and moves like Thunderbolt and Ice Beam for scanning out flying types, and vice versa. Ogerpon helps Clefairy with the steel types that Clefairy doesn't want to face at all. Now, they are both weak to poison, and I understand I have a poison weakness, but we will get over that very quickly. Both of these, and that honestly, that's just the start. Clefable gets moves like Stealth Rocks and Hazard and Wish, Baton Passing, and T-Wave. It has Moonlight to heal itself, Encore and Calm Mind to be annoying and dangerous, Skill Swap to also be annoying. And you know what? Maybe I bring Metronome one week if I find that I'm in a jam and need some luck. Overall, I think Clef is not only just one of the best defensive fairy types, but one of the best Assault Vest users in the game, one of the best utility mons in the game, and something I've legitimately seen myself bringing every single week. Now, after picking Clefable, I was looking at everything on the board, and I really wanted to start filling out some of those cores, Water, Fire, Grass, and Dragon, Fairy, Steel. And I've already started both of those, and I figured it was time to pick up probably a good water type. I think every draft needs a bulky water type. Now, bulky water type is kind of an ambiguous term, but any decently bulky water type, I think, is almost a necessity in these drafts. And I saw him on there at 18 points, so it's going to be expensive, and I'm using a lot of my points early. But I've never used it, but I've seen it picked up in almost every draft I've ever seen. So again, at 18 points and pick 28, I pick up Manae. Manae is literally a jack of all trades. It's one of the 5 mythical Pokemon with base 100 stats across the board, which is like a team builder's dream. Its ability doesn't give it much in hydration. I think that's what it like heals itself in rain, or it gets rid of statuses. I don't exactly remember. It doesn't really matter. But its stats in move pool are really where it shines. There are 2 moves specifically that I think make it shine like incredibly, which is Take Heart and Tail Glow, which both are allowed. Take Heart is a move that only learned by Manae right now. And what it does is it acts like Calm Mind, but it also heals your statuses. So it's a +1 special attack, +1 special defense, and gets rid of Toxic Stall Mons and paralysis and burns if I'm physical. I think it's like a ridiculous move. And on top of that, Tail Glow is the only +3 boosting move in the game. It boosts my special attack by 3, which is absurd. So I can get +4 special attack, +1 Spadef, and no statuses in 2 turns, which is crazy to me. And guess what? It has the best Unaware Mon in the game we have. So the only downside of Manae is it really doesn't have a great way to boost speed. And while 100 base speed is very good, it isn't like incredible. There's a lot of things that outspeed it now. Electric types don't work pretty well against my 3 so far, but it more than makes up for it in its moveset. On the physical end, it has Flip Turn and U-Turn for momentum. It has Knockoff for item removal, Liquidation, and Zen Headbutt, which is all good. But on the special side, it has so much. Alluring Voice, Energy Ball, Ice Beam, Scald, Psychic, Shadow Ball, etc. There's so much I want to do with Manae, and I cannot wait. At pick 4, I noticed a few things with my team. I had decent speed tiers, but not great. I was relatively weak to poison type mons. I didn't have a ground immunity. And even though Ogerpon is very good offensive mon, it can't hold items, so I don't have a great choice item user yet. Plus, I already have used up a bunch of points, and it's going to get to the point soon where I have to drop. It's like super low into the tiers to get things into my team. However, I once again saw another 16-point mon that I could not pass up. And at pick 45, no idea how it stayed this long, I got Landorus Therian. Since Generation 5, Lando has been a staple in both singles and doubles, and I have extensive experience using it. Now, I understand it's gotten a lot worse since Gen 8. It lost both Knockoff and Defog, which were two moves you put on almost any set. But I still have so much faith in Landorus this season. It shines in so many areas. Right off the bat, ground and flying are both hugely important types to have in a draft, which gives me both a ground and electric immunity in one mon. It also has Intimidate as an ability, which is one of the best abilities in all of Pokemon, making physical offensive mons so much weaker, and honestly making this a lot bulkier without having to put in any bulk. Stat-wise, it's ridiculous. 89 HP is incredible, 90 defense is solid, 80 special defense is okay, 91 speed is a really, really interesting speed tier, making it faster than any of those base 90s. It has 105 special attack, which is super solid, but it has 145 base attack. That's nuts. Nothing except for immunities, even grass types, want to switch and do an EQ. It lets me run this defensively and still hit super hard, which is so valuable. It also gives me another stealth rocker, another taunt user, a good third U-turner. It has gravity to remove ground immunities and bulk up plus Calm Mind if I want to get techie. It has sword stance if I'm starting to feel a little cocky. And of course I know it has weaknesses. It's 4 times weak to ice moves. It's not incredibly fast, but Landorus has been proven before, and I am so determined it is being undervalued still. People are looking over this thing because it just got worse, that I think people are going to be under prepping for it, and I'm going to prove that this thing is still such a threat. Now, I was looking at my points, I was looking at what I needed. I still wanted like a steel type and needed a grounded poison type. I still didn't love my speed tiers. But I had a vision in mind from Landorus onward, and somehow I managed to get it, and I think people are overlooking this. Full disclosure, I watched the power rankings, which I will link in this video, just before I filmed this. I wrote everything I was going to say, just hadn't filmed it yet. And I think I am being undervalued, which is good. Everything that they said in that video, I completely understand, and I agree with, and I'll explain that at the end of the draft. But I think people are sleeping on some of my picks. So pick 5 and 6 for me were a pair. Like, genuinely were a pair. I always knew I'd get them together. I needed to fill a few gaps. I wanted better hazard setting, as I had good stealth box users, but no other hazards. I also didn't have any hazard removing yet. I needed a grounded poison type on this team because essentially I have ways to get rid of toxic and poisons. They're not great. Where was I? Much apologies. And then I needed something to hit on the special side. I think it is clear where I'm going with this, but in the 52nd overall pick and the 5th pick in my draft so far, for 13 points, the New England Rock and Roller Glamora. This is a new mon to Gen 9, and I'm so excited to use it. Glamora, I genuinely believe, is the best hazards Pokemon in the game. Not just the best setter, but the best remover. Glamora has access to all three forms of damaging hazard in Spikes, Stealth Rocks, and Toxic Spikes, which is huge on its own. But it has an ability called Toxic Debris, where if a Pokemon hits it with a physical attack, not just a contact, like Long Reach would still activate this, Toxic Spikes are set. Which means in turn I could theoretically set both layers of Toxic Spikes within one turn. Additionally, it has access to the move Mortal Spin, which is a poison type physical move. So yes, Steel is immune, but it removes any hazards from my side of the field and then poisons my opponent. I think it's so clear how powerful this Pokemon is from a hazard perspective, but that is absolutely not all it does. It has a 130 base special attack stat, which is huge. It has 86 speed, which is again decent. It's interesting. It has solid physical bulk with 83 HP and 90 defense. I think this is going to be a huge threat. It's going to force switches. It's going to let me set hazards on switches. It's it's going to be doing heavy damage, and with moves like Sludge Bomb and Wave to hit from the stab side, Meteor Beam, I can run a Power Meteor Beam set one week to give it a special attack buff. Dazzling Gleam for fighting types and Energy Ball for ground and water types. The only thing bringing it down are its speed and its average bulk, which all of those are not bad at all. They're just average. And guess what? It has access to both screens and rock polish, so I can make that speed way better and I can make those defenses way better. Every week I bring Glamora, it's going to do something different. It's going to keep my opponent guessing, and I think it could genuinely be my MVP. I mentioned that Glamora and my 6th pick were going to be a pair, and I will shortly explain to you why. After Glamora, I really wanted a Ghost type that paired with Glamora to block Rapid Spin. And with only a handful of picks left, I really wanted to add to my Dragon Fairy Steel Core, and I saw this sitting there. It was 15 points, which I know is going to really limit the rest of my draft, but it was too good to give up, and I picked 69 with the overall 69th pick. In my 6th pick of the draft, Gango is a New England Rock'n'Rolla member. Gango and Glamora stat-wise are oddly similar. Gango hits with a massive 113 special attack stat, 87 HP and 84 speed, which are both again solid. Better defenses than Glamora, with 95 defense and 91 special defense, making it a very solid, bulky special attacker with a very solid speed tier. And it's essentially just allowing it to run EVs in bulk, while still hitting incredibly hard. Its Ghost type negates the fighting weakness Steel has, while resisting a whole 9 different types, which is half of every type. It gives my team a rock resistance, which I desperately needed, along with another steel and fairy resist, and I added to my Dragon Fairy Steel Core. Move wise, it can run Screens, Nasty Plot to boost special attack, Thunder Wave, and recover if it wants to run utility. It can Trick to switch around Scarfs and Toxic Orbs. But its best set is especially offensive, running Make It Rain, which is a 120 base power special move that can't, or it's 100 accuracy, and it lowers my special attack just by 1 stage. That is a Steel type Draco Meteor that only cuts your special attack by 1. Meaning if I can set a Nasty Plot beforehand, I go down to +1 special attack, and so I can use it 3 separate times without going to negative special attack, which is crazy. There's very little in this league that wants to take a Make It Rain from Gango, and has great coverage for Pokemon that do want to take it. But as I keep mentioning, it pairs with Glamora super well, and here is why. I wanted a good spin blocker to keep hazards on the opponent's side. While Gango's Ghost type blocks Rapid Spin, it can't stop Defog. Except it can, with its ability Good as Gold. Good as Gold blocks status moves, but that means it also blocks Defog. It is the best, I think I have the best hazard setter paired with the best hazard removing blocker. That was hard to say. And I don't think that can get better at all. But it can. I forgot. Gango also gets Hex with Hex doubles in power against opposing Pokemon that have a status condition. And with Toxic Spikes and Mortal Spin from Glamora, Hex becomes a 130 base power Ghost move that doesn't lower my special attack. Not to mention, Gango covers the Psychic and Steel weakness of Glamora, and Glamora covers the Fire weakness of Gango. I genuinely think I hit a grand slam home run with the Glamora and Gango picks, not just as a pair, but synergizing with my team well too. And at this point in my draft, I felt incredible. Legitimately, I feel like these 6 so far I could bring every week, but there are still clearly a few weaknesses. One, my speed tiers. They're great range, but nothing over 110 speed. So I'd like to get at least 1, if not 2 mons that are higher than that. I have a bit of a ground weakness, so another flying type or ground resistance is on my radar. I still need to add a dragon type from a Dragon Fairy Steel Core. And I have a bit of a ghost weakness. However, my points have finally caught up to me. I have 16 points left to work with, over 5 picks. But don't worry, that's not going to discourage me at all. I have a plan. And I saw something that was sitting at 2 points that I didn't care what was taken next, I had to grab so it wasn't taken. This is going to make my speed tiers so interesting, so as the 7th pick on my team and the 76th overall pick, we get normal standard Electrode. Electrode is really simple. It is a frail, low power electric type that is faster than anything else but Regieleki, which really doesn't do anything to Electrode. So I have a mon that is forcing Scarfs and Timids on things that are typically running Modest or Adamant. Now, obviously you'd like to think that, but it doesn't have a lot of power, and I understand that. Which is why I'm going to be making Electrode my first Terra Captain. I'm going to make this significantly more dangerous and have it be something that I think I can bring every week. With Terra Electric, electric moves a ton harder. Fairy is an overall very solid Terra type, and Flying to give a good spammable stab and a ground immunity, plus a way to hit grass types. Electrode is pretty clear why it comes. And I think it serves a very good purpose on this team. It's going to be super annoying with taunts and thunder waves and screens, and honestly I could just bring it 1 week to hit volt switches left, right, and center because I have a bunch of things that can take on ground types. Before I tell you my next pick, I will also tell you a secret. My 8th pick in this draft, which I'm about to tell you, I have been eyeing since like pick 3 as a Terra Captain. Electro gave me another ground weakness, and I know I have Terra Flying, but I can't rely on that. So I really needed another flying type in my mind. And at just 6 points, I genuinely believe I have one of the coolest mons available to be a Terra Captain. And so at my pick 8 and pick 93 overall, I drafted every single form of Ororo. To get the elephant out of the room, yes, I can use every type, which for 6 points I just thought was huge. I know it isn't the best mon, obviously, but having 5 stab types I can pick from every week, including the flying type, and adding 2 more Terra types in ground and dark, this mon can become a monster. I understand it has average at best stats, but it has a lot of utility in moves like Roost and Tailwind and Baton Pass and Taunt. I have so many Taunt users. And now adding to my team a Defog Yuger users, it can be super strong supportively. It also gets access to Quiver Dance, which is a move that boosts special attack, special defense, and speed. On a mon like this, that is going to be huge. Not only that, I cannot speak with Ororo right now. Not only that, oh my god, I did it again. Not only that, but pairing it with Tailwind and Revelation Dance, a 90 base power special move that changes type according to my primary type, which does include Terra types by the way, is huge to me. Talking about my Terra types, I picked Flying, Ground, and Dark. Flying because I had to, but also it gives me a powerful special flying type attack. Ground, not just because it gives me an electric immunity, but also because I get a 90 base power special ground move. And Dark for the same reason, which are just 2 spammable attacks, I legitimately think could make Ororo, and there's a bold statement, the best Terra user in the league. And I'm going to feel so confident bringing this mon so many times. It has 4 types in Electric, Psychic, Ghost, and Fire. That added a Psychic and Ghost type to my team. Electric and Flying is one of the best types in the game. Fire is just such a spammable stab, just like Ground and Dark is going to be. I think people are sleeping on Ororo, and I think it's going to be huge. So after Ororo, I had 8 points left and 3 picks to go. I know at least one mon that I'm going to pick for 1 point, and I know it won't get taken, so essentially I had 7 points to add to my team synergy. I really wanted a second mon that was over the 110 speed mark, and something that has good offense and priority. So I was searching around and I saw Sneez. 100 picks into the draft and only 5 points, I had to take it. Sneez it's just Weavile Jr. It's fast, it's a physical attacking dark and ice type that can run a ton of items, but generally it's going to do the same thing each week. It does get some tech like taunt and some boosting moves, but its best sets are going to include knockoff, ice shard, icicle crash, or icicle spear, and another move like trailblaze or sword stance. Maybe icy wind to slow things down, or an EV light to give it some bulk, but I know it's frail. It has 55 HP, 55 defense, and 75 SPDF, which is just horrible. I know it's frail, but for 5 points I get a super consistent mon in what it does. That even if it doesn't kill, it forces mons to outspeed it and risk getting knocked off, or there can be some sort of a revenge killer with Ice Shard. I wanted a dark type to resist dark and ghost type moves. Now, this thing is not going to resist anything because it will die in 2 hits. So I understand that is a weakness that I'm not actually going to patch by the end of this draft. But I think this mon is going to be very, very useful, and I can see coming a lot. Every one of these mons I can see me bringing every week, which I think is going to be such an issue for my opponent, having to legitimately prep for every single thing on my team. So here I am, 3 points left, 2 picks to go. But I knew I was picking this so long ago. I am so legitimately excited to show you my next pick. I think it is such value for 1 point, and it is literally the glue to my team. I needed a bulky mon, a dragon type, and something that's generally just annoying to face. So jumping into it, call me Wolfie, because my next pick is Sliggoo. I legitimately think Sliggoo is like a legit mon. And if I do nothing else in this league, if I don't win a single game, I want to convince mods to bump Sliggoo up from 1 point to 2 points. Sliggoo is one of the best EV users in the game, bringing its base 113, which is crazy. Special defense to something like 170, which is just nuts. Now I know it's not bulky on the physical side, but it has so much else for it. Plus I do have Landorus to intimidate things. Obviously it's a pure dragon type, which is great for resisting everything. It has Sap Sipper to even be immune to grass types, Gooey to slow things down, and Hydration to heal up against rain teams. The thing with Sliggoo is it has 2 modes. It has annoying bulky tech mode, which I think is better, or just specially offensive coverage mode. It gets a solid amount of coverage in Ice Beam and T-Bolt, things like Acid Spray and Sludge Bomb and Sludge Wave for fairy types, has Chilling Water to lower attack, and Tire Blast just as a normal type move, which is just an 80 pace power move that can hit stuff. But I think its best use is going to be an annoying like Curse Acid Armor set or Toxic Substalling with Protect, Special Defensive Wall. No, it's not the best dragon type in the world, but it is going to be so annoying to play against, and I am so excited. And we're coming down to it. We have 1 pick left. I'm not going to waste your time. I grabbed Phalanx. Phalanx? I don't know. Listen, I needed a fighting type. I needed something that scares away Defog. And Phalanx was on the board for 2 points, and that's what it does. It's not a world beater, but dude, it has 100 attack and defense, which is like pretty solid for a 2-point mon. It seems like it could be like really good. It has decent coverage. It's another knockoff user. Iron Head for fairy types, a big first impression user, which is going to be cool. Stab first impression, not stab. Choice Band first impression. It does have Trailblaze to boost speed, Upper Hand to stop priority mons, and obviously has a really cheeky move and No Retreat. No Retreat gives it an Omni boost, so it boosts every single stat by 1. But I am trapped in until I die, and I can only use No Retreat once. So it's good. It's going to be risky to use that move. And honestly, I think this is just, like, I'm not going to bring this every week, but I think people are going to have to prep for it. It's physically bulky and physically offensive that can do well every now and again that I bring it. Well, there we have it. That was your New England Rock and Rollers team for the VDL Season 3. Obviously, there are some weaknesses. My speed tiers are fine, but they're not great. I have a really big gap between Sneez and Electrode. I am relatively ghost weak, and Sneezel's not going to be taking a ton of hits. My hazard removal is great, but limited. And I understand those are all real points. After watching the not pick'ems, the like when they tiered all the teams, I can't remember what that's called. And they put me 4th to the bottom. I was like, okay, don't think it's that low, but I heard the point of the like, right, what am I going to do against a Dragapult or against a Spectrier? But you'll see. I'm going to go into this league. I'm going to tough it through the first few weeks, and if I feel good, I'm not going to change anything. If I feel like I'm struggling, there's stuff on the board that I can pick up and change this team around. But overall, I think I have such a strong core in this team. I think I have a ton of undervalued picks. Power rankings. They're called power rankings. And I am just determined to prove them wrong. And if this team does not do well first couple weeks, they were right. And I change it and I try to make it into playoffs. I mean, I'm not expecting anything in this league. I think I'm going to do well. I think I'm going to have a ton of fun. But I'm not playing to win. I'm playing to have a good time, to show you guys this content, to get into this. And I'm determined to make quality content and just have a ton of fun with all of you in this league. So let me know what you all think. I actually play my first battle tomorrow. When I'm recording this, I battle tomorrow. Don't know when I'm uploading this, but it's starting like in less than 24 hours. So we're going to see how it goes. Thank you all so much for watching. I cannot wait to battle. And again, thank you to Vortex and his team for inviting me. And I will see you all soon.